Good evening, everyone, and welcome to season 2 of Marketing, Money, and Mindset with Got Writer's Block. Tonight, we're so excited to be back, and we have our guest, Max Chan of Chan with a Plan, career coach. And of course, we couldn't do our LinkedIn Lives without Mila, one of the copywriters at Got Writer's Block. She'll be moderating the chat tonight, so everyone give Mila a thumbs up and a hi in the chat. And Max, tell us more about yourself. We're so excited to have you.
Again, thank you so much for having me. This is my first LinkedIn Live. I've been actually
Woo!
posting on LinkedIn since May of 2020 during the pandemic, but I've never actually done the live. Like I do video via my podcast, as you were on my podcast a few weeks ago, but
Yes.
this is my first LinkedIn Live. So really appreciate the opportunity that you've given me. So a
Yeah,
little bit about myself. I
go ahead.
am a career coach slash resume writer. I help professionals who are currently stuck in their job search provide advice and guidance and resume strategy to help improve their job search results to help them get their next job. So that's me in a nutshell in regards to what my profession is and what I do to help people stuck in their current career phase.
Amazing. So, of course, we brought you on tonight for Communication 101 to boost conversions and increase job offers. So, let's talk about the elephant in the room. All these layoffs, AI, technology. What do you think's going on? And do you think the layoff and the recession situation is as bad as it seems? Or do you have any tips?
I think again, like media tends to overplay what's really going on in the job market. Obviously, there's been a lot of layoffs in tech, but I think one of the main reasons that there is a lot of layoffs is due to COVID. There's a lot of overhiring in the tech sector. Shopify was one of them, right? Like the Shopify stock, if I remember correctly, was like $1,000 to $2,000 a share, and now it's really tanked, and they're losing a lot of business. So I
Mm,
think that is one of the factors where uh, tech was overhiring because of COVID,
oh, yeah.
and then as things got back to normal, their value started to drop as well, and now they're pulling back on the hiring and laying a lot of people off. So that's one exception, right? And then uh, again, like as a job seeker, when you're looking at jobs online, you're going to see a lot of postings, right? So there's going to be new postings every single day. So I wouldn't worry too much about if the job market's bad or not. I've helped professional. Actually, I helped a professional try to transition from admin to a web development role, and she
Oh,
only had
wow.
like I say 6 months of intern slash contract experience, and she was able
Mhm.
to pivot with my help. So I don't think it has anything to do with the job search, or I mean the job market. I think it's more to do with your strategy. One of the things I always say, or the professionals have experienced, is that they have a resume that used to work and now it's not working anymore, even though it's the same resume, and that's because of the job market fluctuations, which means that when you were getting responses on an okay resume, that means there wasn't a lot of competition. But now
Mm,
with more layoffs, there's more competition. But that doesn't mean that there's less jobs for you. That means that there's more qualified people. At least they're presenting themselves in a better way than you on the resume. So it's more about upping your game, not necessarily external factors that you can't control.
okay. And then in terms of tailoring your resume, especially if you're switching industries, what tips do you have to really stand out?
I say the thing I always tell professionals who are struggling to make that career switch to another industry is look at the job ads for that industry. So since we are marketers, I'll use marketing manager as an example. If you're a marketing manager in automotive and you're trying to get into healthcare, yes, you have the same, like running Facebook ads for automotive. The fundamentals are going to be the same compared to running for healthcare. You might have to change what the products are. There might be some different restrictions because it's healthcare, but overall, the nuts and bolts of running Facebook ads is going to be the same. Your job is more to look at those job ads in healthcare in the marketing perspective and see what they focus on, and then you can
Mm,
tailor your current experience in marketing, make it more relatable to what's going on in the healthcare industry and what they're looking for in a marketer in that space.
perfect. So it's really about bringing in those keywords into your resume and then as well into your LinkedIn profile as well, like the about section and the experience section.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's all about again speaking to your audience. A lot of people don't speak to their audience. They have like a general profile, but I
Yes.
always say like if you try to target everybody, you're not targeting anybody.
Mhm.
So it's very important for you to uh, find that industry, look at what industry keywords are important, and then integrate that into your resume.
Perfect. And for everyone here, this doesn't just apply to people who are job seekers. This is especially important for people in sales as well, too, Max, right? Like if you're looking for prospects and you have a strong about section or a strong tagline, like prospects can find you properly, right?
Yes. So when it comes to sales, obviously you want to have an optimized profile. So I have career coach in my headline, right? So people can find me a resume writer.
Yeah.
I've always asked professionals that reach out to me, say, "Oh, how did you find me?" "Oh, I typed resume on LinkedIn," right? They don't even type in resume writer; they just type in LinkedIn. I mean, they just type
Yes.
in resume, and I was one of the first people that showed up, right? So definitely incorporate those types of keywords there as well. The other thing I want to mention is you also want to create content and be a thought leader and build authority. I'm assuming like both you, Mila, and yourself, Jessica,
Mhm.
you probably get a lot of cold outreach, a lot of very aggressive sales messages.
Of
And again,
course.
no one really wants to see those, right? And basically, bad salespeople have ruined that type of outreach. So if you
Mhm.
really want to uh, make good use of your time, is about creating thought leadership content and getting people to reach out to you because they're reaching out to you because they already see that credibility from you giving the value through your content.
That's perfect. Yeah.
I was gonna ask about that because I guess the problem with like my profile, for example, like I'm so used to sharing like what I've helped my clients do, and I don't really focus on like creating my own content like for my own profile. And so I think based on the kind of DMs I'm getting, maybe they're getting the impression that I need like help or something like that. But the reality is like I don't. It's just that I haven't gotten around to creating my own stuff yet, as opposed to just like sharing stuff I've done for other people. So this is really great. It's like a really good like motivator for me to get into doing that more often, just so people know, yes, I'm capable of doing this.
Yeah, like one of there's some salespeople that say, "Oh, I can help you improve your LinkedIn profile through content to get you more found." And then my friends say, "Well, you found me, so do I really need your service, right?" And then they get so mad, right? So obviously, again, like you gotta give value first, and then you'll get the rewards later.
Yeah. And I think, you know what, Mila touched on something good because she's so focused on like sharing client work to show expertise, but then now she's saying that she needs to have her own voice to build her own brand. So in marketing, it can be helpful to be a thought leader and build your own brand, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think again, might be an old statistic, but they say like only 1% of active LinkedIn members are actually posting content. So there is a lot
Yes.
of growth opportunities there.
Yes. So, say a client comes to you, what's one of the top reasons that they're struggling? Like, why do they come to you? What is like, Max, I need help with blank. Like, what is one of the main reasons?
The main reason is the resume doesn't work. They apply to a lot of jobs, they get no response. They might get one or two interviews out of applying to 100. So I just think the lack of response is the main frustration.
Mm.
That's the main issue that they tend to face.
So, do you recommend just spamming the resume into like the LinkedIn black hole? What do you recommend?
Well, if they're not getting a lot of response to the resume, then we definitely have to rewrite the resume to generate the response. Again, as I mentioned earlier, people tend to have a very general resume that doesn't really speak to their target
Right.
audience. So we would first really try to niche down the resume to ensure that the resume is speaking to what skills and expertise employers are looking for in their specific industry or field. So that's what I would focus on, and then you can start applying online and it'll start working. I know a lot of career coaches out there, they stress the importance of networking, but again,
Yes.
like a lot of people that I work with, I do give them networking advice. They tend to just want to apply and they are getting results with applying. So it's one of those things where networking is great if you want to do it, but it's not like the end all be all. Because again, a lot of career coaches might do that fear mongering. Oh, the reason why resumes aren't working right now is you're applying into the ATS and it doesn't go anywhere. You have to talk to people, but
Yeah.
that's true. I've written resumes for people that have gotten responses online. So again, you got to do what you're comfortable with and what's going to make you want to keep going with your job search. Because again, if you hate networking, you hate talking to
Hmm.
strangers or reaching out, me trying to force that on you is not going to make a good
Hmm.
experience. I'd rather just try to strengthen what you are comfortable with, which is an optimized resume to get you more interviews, and you're
Hmm.
tend to going to do that a lot longer than trying to network when you are uncomfortable doing that.
Fair. And then for people that don't know how this works, what is ATS and how does it work and how do they optimize for it?
So ATS is the applicant tracking system. It's a filing cabinet for recruiters to manage the applications. So when you go on LinkedIn, you look at a job at a popular company, applicants, again, I don't think they'll give you an exact number anymore. I think once it hits 200, it just says 200 plus. So basically, the applicant tracking system will help organize those applications. And how to optimize for the ATS is you don't want to have a creative resume because it's very hard for the ATS to parse that information. Because again, the ATS will read the text, right? But if it's like a fancy image or there's a lot of creativity in the resume, it's going to be hard to read. So I personally believe that if you're just applying cold to an online job ad, I would recommend a very simple, basic formatted resume that's more word focused. If you're going to send your resume directly to someone via an email, then you could be a little more creative to help you stand out. But when you're applying cold, I highly recommend you have a simple resume template where it's more focused on the content than the actual design. So that's what I would do for the first thing about ATS. And then the second thing is obviously have the right keywords and key phrases in place. For example, if you are a project manager and one of the skill sets they're looking for is someone with software development lifecycle knowledge, and you don't have that on your resume, then you're going to be filtered out. So definitely have the right keywords in place. So then the ATS can scan you properly. And when the recruiter looks at it, they say, oh, this person has what we're looking for from an experience perspective.
So then do you recommend basically going to the job ad and looking at like the summary or the qualifications and putting those keywords in?
Yes, exactly. 100%. Yeah. I don't recommend like you try to revise your resume thoroughly every single time. That's very time consuming. And again, like applying online can get a bit tedious. So I would recommend if you want to tweak it a little bit, add those keywords into like your profile summary at the top, your resume summary at the top, or there's a skill section at the bottom. You can add some of those keywords there as well. But I wouldn't try to again spend too much time like altering your resume for every application because it will start getting time consuming.
Okay. And then in terms of optimizing LinkedIn, how important is the headline at the top to like be found by recruiters or to be found by potential clients that you want to work with?
Yeah, that headline's fairly important because that's the first thing people see when they search you. I know for recruiters, they have a recruiter version of LinkedIn, and it might be it might be different. I think they focus more on the work experience side of things. But again, like if they're searching for you, you want to optimize regardless of what section it is. So the main sections again is like the headline, the about section, work experience, and the skills section. So again, like you want to have the right keywords in the headline, the about, the work experience, and the skills. For the headline, I recommend your job title of like what job you want to be in. So if you're trying to be a project manager or marketing manager, you definitely want to have that title in. If you've only been a specialist, you can say like senior marketing leader or senior marketing specialist just to show that you're seasoned. But again, those keywords do play a part. So I highly recommend that you have the actual role in like your appropriate sections on LinkedIn.
Do you think you need to be fancy and kind of have like a tagline with the role, or is the role just fine?
I usually recommend having like, so for me, so let's do a technical example. So data analyst. So
okay,
I just say like, so the headlines I usually do is like data analyst at whatever company. If they're not working, I would just say like data analyst. Then the next section I would do like a line break, a vertical line break, and then I would have in like key terms. So for data analysis, it could be a SQL, Python, R, Power BI, whatever tools that you are familiar with, you want to add that into the next section. And then the last section, you can add a value statement, which should be being able to derive actionable insights from data through data visualizations in order to improve business decision making, right? So that could be like a value statement at the end. So that's how I usually do it: is your position, technical terms or technical skills. For example, programming languages for data analysis, and then like a value statement to help you stand out.
That was fantastic. For everyone listening, if you're a data analyst, you should definitely change your headline to that and you will definitely get found. Can we do one more? Let's do another position. What about content marketing manager? I know that's a common one.
Yeah. So again, the title would be content marketing manager at whatever company. Technical skills. From content perspective, you could talk about like maybe like social media. You could say video production. You can add in some technical tools. If you're the one that edited videos, you can say like Adobe Creative
Sure.
Suite
Yeah.
or DaVinci or Canva or whatever
Mhm.
popular software tools you use for content creation. Or you can even talk about like what social media management tools you use. Like for example, maybe use Hootsuite or Later. So those are some things that you want to mention. And then the value statement could be growing or amplifying growth of companies' social media accounts through engaging content and community involvement or community outreach, right? So
Absolutely love
something
these.
like that, something along those lines. You can even add some numbers. You can say like go from 0 to like 10,000 followers within a year, whatever big accomplishment you want to highlight.
These are fantastic. This is exactly why I brought Max on, because he knows how to optimize your profile and he knows how to get you hired. And he just did this like in 1 second.
Yeah,
Imagine.
like when you're doing it for a few years, you kind of can do it off the
Exactly.
cuff,
It
right?
rolls
Yeah.
off the tongue. And if you're struggling, like obviously it's going to be very hard for you to come up with these taglines, but Max is pro. What were you going to say, Mila?
I was just gonna say, especially because when you look at content specialists, that's such a broad spectrum, right?
Mhm.
And so having those specific skills, your goals, and your values that you have for whichever agency or production company you want to work for, it's good to highlight all of these things so that people know like exactly what you're capable of doing, but they also know like how diverse you are at the same time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, something we haven't touched on yet is ChatGPT. Of course, we have to talk about it because it's all over the industry. Can you use ChatGPT to write your LinkedIn profile or your resume? What are your thoughts?
I've actually seen like LinkedIn adding some AI components. I haven't really played around with it. There
Actually,
has been,
wait, can
yeah,
I pause? I
yeah.
used it yesterday.
Oh, you used it yesterday. Okay.
Yeah,
And
because
how?
it popped up
Yeah,
for my tagline.
yeah.
To be honest, I didn't love it because it was okay, but it's interesting. It kept spitting out different keywords.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, yeah. I didn't know that that's readily
It's
available. I
brand
haven't
new,
seen it.
but it's not going to give you a value statement like you're doing. So I still think there's value in hiring humans.
Yeah, I think ChatGPT is very cool in terms of like what they're going to write. I think
Yes.
having a copywriter can definitely humanize it and help you speak to
Yeah.
your audience better. Uh, for me, like I've spoken to a lot of copywriters. Like ChatGPT by itself is not that great. You can definitely add some prompts to give you some
Yeah.
direction on what to write, but you definitely have to go in and edit it a bit to make it relatable to your audience.
Yeah. So like you could maybe potentially do like data scientist resume and like get some key points.
Yeah, you could do that. One thing that I could do like for like a data scientist is you can copy and paste a job ad for a data scientist position and just write in ChatGPT, turn these job duties from this job ad into accomplishment statements, and then it'll give you some
Mm,
examples, right? Obviously, you can't use it word for word. You might have to tailor it a little bit, but it does give you some direction on how to create a better resume. And one thing I want to also mention is that I have heard stories from recruiters where they know if a resume is generated by ChatGPT because they've actually seen a few people have almost the exact same type of writing style on the resume. So again, like don't try to game the system. Like recruiters know if you're using ChatGPT to write your resume. So again, ChatGPT is a good foundation to give you some direction, but
yeah.
ultimately you still have to wordsmith it to make it make sense for you and the recruiter.
Yeah, to
Okay.
make sure it reflects your voice,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Nothing generic.
And you know what? If you're just copying ChatGPT, that means you're not adding in your own specialties and accomplishments, right?
And that speaks to how you do your work as well, right? You don't want
Yeah.
to give that impression to anyone.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
It's funny because when Neil and I talked about ChatGPT on LinkedIn Live like a few months ago, we were wondering, in a few months, say it was like a health coach, how many health coaches are going to have similar social media posts?
Yeah, exactly.
Kind
Like,
of,
yeah.
right? Like,
And
if
then
everyone's like, oh, we want to do like top tips for abs, like, is everyone going to have the same ab post?
Yeah, there's I think there's a LinkedIn post going around saying, here's how you can identify what uh what creators are using ChatGPT to write their posts. So it'll be like, they'll say like individuals. That's usually a common ChatGPT keyword when they're talking about people, right? So like they're trying to like educate people on who's using ChatGPT to write their content and who's not. So again, there is a bit of a pushback with AI right now.
like this is complex stuff too, especially Jessica, you were talking about like the health industry. It's normal to have
Yeah.
many different perspectives, and when you see everybody copying each other just to make a profit or like try to
Make a
generate
profit. Yeah.
user engagement, like that makes you unreliable because like you're not really checking the information, you're not being critical about
Yeah,
it.
is that accurate too, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, one of our main issues with ChatGPT is the resources, especially in healthcare or financial industry. You need to source everything, and ChatGPT doesn't.
No, it even makes up like sources as well at times.
Oh yeah, we've seen that. Sketchy. But it can be helpful, like you said, Max.
Yeah.
I think it can be really helpful if you are not the greatest writer as well and you kind of need help with sentence structure,
Yeah.
right? Okay, so let's move on from ChatGPT. We could go on forever. Let's talk about engagement and networking on LinkedIn. I know you said that you can just send in your resume and you don't need to network on LinkedIn, but if you do want to go the extra step, let's talk about it from a job seeker first, and then let's also talk about it from more of like a getting clients approach. How would it be okay to network with people in the industry and not be spammy?
Yeah. So I've done networking myself. So I worked with a career coach before. One of the things, like, if you want to know if someone's a good coach or not, or a consultant, ask them if they've used coaches in their industry as well. That can tell you if they truly believe in the product, because it's one thing to sell it and another thing to actually use it themselves.
Mm.
So like for me, I've used a couple of coaches throughout my career, and they've really helped me. So I can sell my career coaching service because I believe in the service that career coach can provide for your career direction. But
Mhm.
to actually answer your question, yeah, she did help me with how to network properly, and I've used this networking strategy throughout my career to help me to transition to different industries. So one of the things is, you want to, let's say, nail down your like target companies. I would say between 3 to 5, because any more than that is going to be too much.
Okay, so
Because you're not
focus.
going to have a
Okay.
good like penetration in that company if you're trying to expand too much. Again, you only have so many hours to like talk
Yeah.
to people. And then in terms of targeting, so again, we'll do a marketing example. Let's say you are currently a marketing manager and you're trying to move into a different industry, whether it's like insurance, telecom, banking, what have you. So for banking, let's say you want to work at one of the top banks in Canada, and uh, you basically find marketing managers and marketing directors, because the rule I like to do is, like, you want to target laterally, because then they
Mhm.
could refer you, or they could have, you can understand the day to day better. I know
Mhm.
everybody says that networking is a great tool to get referrals, but it's also a great way for you to know if you actually want to do that job or not, right?
That's a
So
good
it's
point.
also a
Yeah.
good way to get some insight there. And the other thing, in terms of that one above you, is because they're going to do the hiring for that marketing manager, right? So
Mhm.
that can also help as well. And they when it comes to asking questions with them and engaging conversation with them, is more about uh, talking about like strategy and overview, more so than the marketing manager. That's more about like day to day stuff that you could ask on a more personal level, because it's again a lateral conversation. So that's how
Mhm.
I would target. So target in the same field, and then the same level as you and one above you. That's what I recommend there. In terms of like messaging people, I would try to connect with them first on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
because again, there's not a lot of emails to go around. So when you connect
Mhm.
with people, you can like message them as many times as you want and follow up. For InMail, if they don't respond, you can't really follow up with them. So I would connect with them first, just talk about something similar. introduce yourself or just say, hey, I want to connect with you because we're in the same like field in
Mm-hmm.
marketing. I would like to we'd be happy to connect with you, right? So just a quick statement, and then if they do accept, at that point you can do an outreach. Again, you want to make it customized as possible, and the main point of the networking outreach is to get them on the phone.
Yeah.
Again, not everybody's going to respond. Some say, hey, Max, I really appreciate it, but I don't have time right now. Or they might say, send me some questions. I'll be happy to answer. So again, like you just want to get more FaceTime. I
Yeah.
wouldn't try to like network through like DMs on LinkedIn because it is a bit time consuming, and it's hard to build rapport through just DMs. So I recommend trying to get them on a phone call at least
Mm-hmm.
15 to 30 minutes if possible, just to get them just to get to know more about the company and the role. Again,
Mm-hmm.
like you want to make it more about them in terms of like, hey,
That's a
so
good
and so,
point.
I saw your
Yeah.
profile. I understand that you're currently a marketing manager at X bank.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm interested in knowing more about the company and what you do. I recently read an article about how you're doing this initiative. Would be happy to learn more about that if you are involved, and learn more about what you do at the company to see if it be a good fit for me as I'm looking for to make a career transition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, like when I did networking, I think my response rate in terms of getting a call on the call was about 15 to 20%.
That's
So
amazing.
again, like people say that networking is like higher than resume applications. But again, like you do have to still put in the volume in terms of outreach and applying. So don't think that networking is like the silver bullet to getting a job at your dream company. It does take work to like network with people,
Yeah.
have conversations.
Yeah.
So that's something I do want to emphasize. So once you get on the call, at that point they'll probably ask you a few questions like, oh, how come you want to work at this bank, or tell me a little bit about yourself. So it's also good interview practice. And then for you, again, you want to like be engaging, ask like personal questions. You don't want to ask like superficial questions that you can just look on their website, because then it
No.
seems that you haven't done your homework. So you do
Mm-hmm.
want to dive a bit deeper, and ask questions that you can't find on the website that they can answer, whether it's like looking at their career, say, oh, how come you decided to I noticed that you worked at this company and then moved to banking. How come you
Mm-hmm.
decided to pursue a career in banking, right? So again, try to make it engaging, conversational. And then at the end, if it goes well, they might even offer a helping hand, say, hey, if there is a job that you're interested in, let me know. I'll see who the hiring manager is. Sometimes, like when I did networking and it went well, they usually offer to help me that way. If
Mm.
they don't say that, there's a couple things you can do. You can say, you can ask if they can, if there's someone else they can talk, you can talk to. They might give you a name. Another one is if there's a job opening later down the road, can I share with you to see if you might know who the hiring manager, right? So
Mm.
it's more like soft asks. Like I wouldn't say like, okay, you've read my resume, can you give me an interview, right?
Of
I
course.
know
Yeah.
I've spoken to a lot of recruiters, and they have these stories of these aggressive DMs where they say, oh, can you forward my resume for this position that I'm interested in, or can you speak to the hiring manager for me, right? Like these are very aggressive and
And do
unprofessional.
recruiters just
Yeah.
ignore them?
Yeah, they tend to ignore them, right? Like
Yeah.
I don't really see them
It
responding
doesn't
to them.
work.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't
just
work.
like a
No.
cold DM. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't work. There's no rapport, right?
Yeah,
You
no
need the
rapport,
rapport.
exactly.
Yeah,
Uh
you need the rapport. You keep going.
yeah, and the other thing I want to mention is I wouldn't try to network with recruiters because they get bombarded a lot on LinkedIn.
Mm,
Again, like the reason why I say like reach out to like people in that are not in the hiring part of the department is that they're not going to be as bombarded as much on LinkedIn compared to recruiters.
mhm.
So you are going to get a better response rate there.
Okay, so say you're applying for like an engineering job, just try and find like maybe the engineering manager or something and talk to them and build rapport there
Yeah,
versus
exactly.
HR.
Yeah.
And I think you gave a really good tip about just focusing on a few companies. And I think as a job seeker or even people looking to get leads for their companies, that's what you want to do. Just make like a top 5 list of who you want to work with or who you want to work for, right?
Yeah, in terms of like from a business perspective, if they are content creators, you can definitely like comment on their posts, whether
Mhm.
it's a company post or themselves personally, just so they get more familiar with you. And then at that point, you can connect and reach out because you've already engaged in the content a bit.
Mhm.
One of the things I've done with like if I'm short on like podcast content and I need like a podcast guest like soon, I've I have a good network of career coaches. I've commented on posts that they've made, and they tend to be down to come on my podcast like within a week or two. So
Yeah,
that's why like it's good to have to create some interaction before you go straight for the ask through a DM. By
100%.
like engaging in their posts and interacting with them in a subtle way. And then you can connect with them, and then at that point, since they know you a bit, they'll give you more time of day compared to if you just directly DM them and they've never seen you before.
100%. And I just think about it as you. When someone randomly cold messages you, you're kind of off put. But if they commented on your post a few times, you're like, oh yeah, I've seen Max. Like, I know who he is. Like, I'll give him time of day. It does it really take that much effort to comment on their post for a few weeks and then add them? No.
No, exactly. No, yeah.
And they have a sense of your personality, your insights when they see the kind of posts that you're making and comments on their stuff.
Yeah, 100%.
And the last thing I want to ask you is really about your personal branding strategy, because that can be really big. I know you don't need to post to get a job, but I know that you're really building your personal brand has also helped give you leads. So just tell me more about that. And I know you actually tweaked it because you noticed that you needed to tweak your strategy in order to really attract what you're looking for.
Yeah. So in terms of my LinkedIn strategy, the first is like I was posting like resume content, but it wasn't really like resonating. Like it was under a different name. It was called like branding game plan. So it didn't really connect with the audience. So then I changed it with like channel with the plan, right? And then I made it very more focused on job seekers. I think I was making it more on like personal brand a bit, and it wasn't really resonating with the LinkedIn audience. So then I basically changed my positioning, and then focus more on that content. So again, like creating content is good, but if you don't have the fundamentals of a good like branding positioning strategy, then it's not going to work for you. So again, you're not going to know what's going to work until you start testing. So I didn't really figure out that I needed to change my branding until a few months in. So again, like if what you are doing is not working right away, give it some time and then go through your branding, see what you need to do to make it resonate with the audience, with your audience, and then it should start being more effective. So that would be what I would say there. And in terms of my content strategy and like getting leads, obviously like posts consistently like once a day. I used to comment on other people's posts like 5 times a day. I don't do as much anymore. But when I first started off, it was a good way to get visibility. Like one of the things is like, and there's a popular career coach that gets hundreds of views on their posts. What you want to do is like they tend to post at the same time, whether it's probably through a scheduler because I can't see someone like live posting every day at like 9:15 a.m. as an example. So what you want to do is like once they post, you want to comment as soon as possible because then your face will be associated with that post for like a good few hours, right? So that's a way to get like easy visibility and followers. So that's what I did early on. And then obviously I would post my own content as well.
Of course.
So there's that. And then the other thing is once I post content, obviously people will engage it through comments or likes. And then I would actually go through who liked and commented on it and see which people would be relevant to my audience. Like an obvious one for me as a career coach, if they have open to work, like banner being displayed, then they're obviously a good fit for me because they're currently looking for a job and I give job search advice, right? So that's another thing I do. And then the other thing is like for lurkers out there that don't engage or comment, they might have saw my post and then they look at my profile. I would go through who viewed my profile, see who's a good fit, and then I would actually DM them. And it's okay to DM them.
What would you say though? Just like thanks, or like here's a tip. I would
no, because I'm assuming that they don't know I
have premium, yeah.
Yeah, they don't know I have premium, or they don't know that I know that they saw my profile. So I
Yeah.
would just reach out, say, hey, so and so, I wanted to reach out because I think my job search content would be helpful in your current career phase, right? Again, like in terms of people accepting my connection request, when I just add them through them viewing my profile and not engaging, is a lot lower than if someone's commented or engaged in my content. But I still have gotten like phone calls or leads that way as well. So that's my other approach in terms of like building my network, because you can't just post your content and then forget about it. You have to like comment on, you have to reply to comments. You have to go through who liked and comment on your post. So then you see who you can connect with to build your network, and then viewing your profile as well, who view your profile. Maybe some of them are, they like your content, but they don't want to like it, because again, people think that LinkedIn's a job search site still. So if their boss sees that they like someone's job search content, it might be a bit awkward. So I understand that. So
Oh, from
they
a
might be
job
viewing,
perspective.
yeah,
Wow.
they might view their,
Yeah.
so that's why I say like they might just be lurking to just protect their own job. So
Yeah.
at that point, you can always reach out, right? Because again, if they saw your profile, that means they've either searched you up or they looked at your content and then looked at your profile after. So there is some interest in wanting to work with you potentially.
Of course. And then do you ever go to like profile viewed, and then do you ever click on them and go and try and go to their profile and see their content if they have?
Yeah, if they have. Again, like as I already mentioned, only like 1% of people
I
post, and a
know.
lot of job seekers, they don't post content, so there's really
True.
nothing there for me to engage
Yeah.
with. So I would just have to connect with them.
Yeah.
And
Okay, so go
Oh.
ahead. Go ahead.
recently, I almost said YouTube algorithm, the LinkedIn algorithm has been favoring reshares as well. So it's also really good to look at anybody who's been sharing your content with their connections as well, to see like how much exposure you're getting, and also potentially who in their network might be like a good fit to reach out to as well.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Yeah, I've had a few people reshare my post, and then I think you can see who saw the reshare. So that's also a good avenue to get potential people into your network and build up your following.
Mm-hmm. And before we wrap up, just tell everyone, what is the main way you can help them with career coaching? Like, how does it look to work with you?
So again, I think the main thing is the foundational piece, which is your job search documents, your resume, cover letter, and LinkedIn profile. So we would start there with the foundation, especially if you've been applying and haven't got any response. And then at that point, once the documents have been revised, you would start applying with it, and then we would work together in regards to like interview prep, networking, if that's what you're interested in terms of like expanding your network, and then like job offer negotiation after you get the
That's
job,
really
right?
important. Yeah,
In terms of like commitment level, like my rate's like a flat rate, but we can talk about that if you're interested. But usually the agreement is about 1 to 6 months, because just from my experience working with clients over the years that want to do the full career coaching program, it takes about 1 to 6 months to help them get their next job.
Mhm.
So again, it varies in terms of our commitment level. Obviously, if we only work for a month, that means I got you a job in the month, which obviously would be ideal. But sometimes it is a bit longer due to like job market conditions. So that's something that we can work on together.
Perfect. So Mila's gonna put Max. She's gonna put your link in the chat. Of course, it's Chan with a plan, and let's just do a big recap. So LinkedIn headline.
Yeah.
You want to what? Have some keywords,
Yeah.
a value hook.
Yeah. Keywords. Yeah. Your job title, or your target job title, or your current job title. Keywords like technical skills, and then like a value statement.
Mm-hmm. About section we actually didn't touch on. Quickly, what should the about section look like?
How I usually do it is like just a couple intro paragraphs, like how many years of experience you have, what you specialize in, and then like 3 key areas of expertise. So,
Perfect.
for example, like let's say you're a marketing manager. So a couple of paragraphs introducing yourself into your skill set as a marketing manager, and then some key areas of focus. So you could say like social media management, and then like a couple of paragraphs underneath that, analytics, right? Google, analytics. So that could be a couple paragraphs, and then maybe you want to do SEO. SEO would be the last one, and then some couple of paragraphs about your SEO experience.
Perfect. And then obviously fill in the job experience part below. And then we know that ATS is really important, so use keywords that are in the job ads.
Yeah. Again, like you don't want to like overstuff it.
Don't want to overkill.
Yeah, overstuff it. Yeah, I know like a lot of job seekers use these like resume optimizer tools, and they say like, oh, my resume scores are out of 60%, and then like the only way to increase it is to stuff it with keywords, and now it doesn't read properly, right? So I don't I recommend people like don't focus too much on the score. Just make sure that you tell a good story and you do have the right keywords in there. So that's what I recommend in that department.
Okay, so tell a good story. Okay,
yeah, tell a good story. Yeah, storytelling is more important than keywords for sure.
100%. And any last tips you want to share before we sign off?
Yeah, I think again the main thing I want to emphasize is that I know people are saying there's a bad job market out there, but I think there's still a lot of opportunities. Again, like just go into the LinkedIn search bar, type in jobs posted the last 24 hours in your area, and if there's new jobs posting, there is still jobs out there, right? So if you're not getting responses, definitely like improve your strategy, whether it's like getting a resume revised, or maybe you need to do some networking more. I think like, again, like when it comes, whether it's a good or bad economy, the ones that always rise to the top is the ones that are being proactive with their job search and
There you
always like
go.
tweaking and
Not
tinkering
blaming
it to
it.
ensure
Yeah.
that they are getting the results that they're looking for.
Perfect. So it really sounds like a lot of tailoring can help the resume, and really a career coach is your solution. So Max, thank you so much for coming on today. Again, everyone, that is Max Chan with a Plan, career coach. Follow him on LinkedIn. Mila, thank you so much for moderating today. And everyone, have a good night.
Good night.